Hey everyone, you're watching In Studio, and look who we have. We have Tati Gabrielle.
Hello.
In the building. Season 2 is out of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Yes. How does it feel?
It's pretty exciting. Yeah. We've all been waiting for this to happen because, we shot the first 2 seasons together, so we know everything that happens, and it's fans have been like, what's going on? We want to know this, and that, and it's been so hard to keep lips sealed, so it's cool that everybody gets to see it.
It's like
now.
A relief that now
right.
There's no more secrets.
Exactly.
Now first, before joining the project, what kind of drew you to this, and what kind of stood out about Prudence?
So I have never really played a villainous or antagonistic character before.
One of my favorite characters, by the way.
Thank you so much. But yeah, this was my first time in that sort of experience, and so when I got the character and I read her, I was like, oh, this is gonna be wicked, and I get to be a witch. This is awesome. And my personality is very bubbly. I'm a very happy person, so I thought it would be fun to challenge myself and step out of the box, become someone that's completely outside of who I would ever be. So yeah, it was, the draw was just like, okay, this is a big actor challenge for me and something to help me grow.
Now, as an actor, when did you realize you wanted to become an actor and this is a path you wanted to pursue?
So, I didn't really develop a full passion for it until I hit about 10th grade. Prior to that, I think it was more of a hobby and something fun that I like to do. Since I was a kid, I always... Okay, so my mom used to say that I would, sit in a little grocery store basket and, blankly stare at people. Like that. Like that.
That was good.
So yeah, she thought that I would study them.
Yeah.
And I've always
so interesting.
Yeah, I've always just been fascinated by people and their ticks and quirks and how no two people are ever alike. And so I like to, I don't know, it
started in the grocery store.
It started in the grocery store. And I've always been a big fan of psychology. I wanted to be an FBI criminal profiler if I didn't become an actor. To just pick the minds of those people, yeah.
Now, talking to you, one thing I noticed, obviously, your accent is very different than Prudence.
Yes.
What were the early conversations about kind of how Prudence was, kind of how she presented herself to the world?
Well, I came to the audition with the accent.
Okay. So you had it in mind initially.
I just pictured her being this, prim, proper private school girl. And that was the voice that came, and when awesome. They never told me any different. Yeah. And then when I had the conversation with Roberto about what's her life been like, I came to him with a bazillion questions, and he was like, lady, I love that you have all of this, but there's some things we haven't even got to yet. I was like, okay, that's fine.
It's good you had him that out, though. Yeah.
But he told me that she was, an orphan, and that's something that she always keeps with her. And I think that it's a part of the reason why she's so rigid and so hard on the outside, because she's had to create her own life for herself and has to create her own place in the world. So yeah, he told me all of that, and then he told me how Blackwood. The original thing was that Blackwood was always my father, but originally they told me that I knew that he was my father, and it wasn't until I read the Feast of Feast episode that I was
my gosh.
Oh, I didn't know? Well, I've been playing it this whole time but apparently it worked, so...
So much to unpack from that episode. In finding out that Father Blackwood is your father, that was just kind of the best thing ever when they're at the table. Can you kind of talk about filming that scene and what stood out about it?
That was a hard day.
I would never want to eat that cake, by the way.
Oh, right?
Imagine?
Right.
Someone sets you up with that. Oh my god.
Oh, and we had, I don't know if you guys saw the duck goose that was on the table.
Yeah.
That thing reeked the whole day. Apparently someone's, they cooked it, and someone didn't put it in the fridge the night before, and so it sat out the whole night, so between takes they would, take it out, and we were, they were, trying to spray it with air freshener to try to, and so we were all just, dealing with this smell around the table. I think it was obviously a really big moment for Prudence,
It's just a genius way to set that up.
Right, to discover a part of her identity that she never knew, and in front of all of these people, and having to just wrap your head around that in an instant. And, Father Blackwood seems so unremorseful about it as well, which is even harder to deal with. Okay, you don't even care. Had this cake not been eaten, I would have never known this. So I had to really go deep for that, and try to bring up that emotion for her, while still trying to mask it, because, you know, you're in a room full of people that you're not all the way familiar with. So. And
in part 2, we see that struggle of her relationship with her father, Father Blackwood. Can you kind of talk about exploring that more in part 2? The challenges Prudence was facing.
Well, so she, you know, any orphan, like, you know, what they want is to be claimed and to feel that they have a place. And so, you know, when she finds out that information that, you know, she does have a dad, she does have family that's alive and there and has always been there, you know, that's what she wants, is to feel claimed and feel like she's a part of a family, beyond the weird sisters. And so for Father Blackwood to deny her that from birth, and then even after, right, it's like, that just really tears a person down. And, you know, Prudence being so strong that she's always going to fight through it. She's always going to, like, put on her best face and not let anybody know that she's weak or that she is suffering from it. But yeah, she, as the season goes on, you see that at first this is the greatest thing that could have ever happened to her, but then she starts to realize who Father Blackwood really is, and reconciles with her own morals and her own moral compass to figure out, is this the family that I actually want to be a part of? And is this the route that I want to take? And so as she, shortly after she goes into that, she is like, okay, wait a minute. Let me be myself now. Let me be myself first.
Now Zelda becomes her stepmom. Mm-hmm. How would you define their relationship?
I think to start, it was a bit rigid and a little distant, because, you know, at the end of the day, Zelda's a Spellman, and Prudence doesn't like the Spellmans, due to, you know, Edward Spellman, like just the way that he changed the Church of Night. And but as time goes on, I think she starts to learn from Zelda, and Zelda is just as devout as she is, and she realizes that it's a big reason, I think, of why she kind of ends up going against Father Blackwood, and starts to look up to Zelda, and take on her ways, and know that is probably the better route to go.
Speaking of the Spellmans, her relationship to Sabrina is really interesting because they're essentially frenemies. Mm-hmm. But I do think Prudence has Sabrina's best interests at heart, and vice versa. Can you talk about that? Do you agree? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely to a degree, and I think it grows over time. Yeah. I think Prudence definitely respects Sabrina. That despite that she is half mortal, the grit that she has and the way that she doesn't back down from any fight. Like, I think that Prudence is like, girl, you got it. Like, but I think most of the time, you know, Prudence aligns with Sabrina when it serves her own benefit and serves her own struggle for power. But yeah, like their relationship is this very ever-morphing thing as they learn more about each other. Yeah.
The magic in the show is really rooted in the spells. I was wondering if you could teach me a spell today.
Okay, I can teach you the blood curse spell.
Oh my gosh, scary.
Yeah, the one from the very first episode.
Okay.
It's, okay, vos omnes.
Vos omnes.
Ministri. Ode. Et destructiones. I know, it's hard. We gotta a whole coach on set. Quod et noce.
How am I gonna remember?
You're right. It's like we spent so long, the Weird Sisters, like trying to like Abby has the hardest struggle with trying to get the Latin. And so we just practiced over and over and again saying it together, trying to like get it. But yeah.
We give it to us one more time in full.
Okay.
No, can't do it.
Vos omnes ministrio Dei et destructiones et seretore discorde, et qui libiter opera facitis et tractibus quod et noce. Fiat Alvim Sabrina. I just remember the end of it, but I can't remember Boom.
We cast it.
Blood curse.
To the world. Bam.
I hope you're all okay.
Now, the name Prudence actually comes also from another popular show about witches. Are you familiar with Charmed, the original?
Yes,
okay.
Very much so.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, when I was a kid. My brother has every season on DVD.
Okay, what was your take on Shannon Doherty's Prue?
She's the big sister, as Prudence is the big sister, and she is, will go through anything to protect her sisters, and so I mean I loved I loved Prue on Charmed, like, and I love how like she
died.
I know, heartbreaking. But yeah, like she was gentle as well as strong, which I think Prudence is learning to be. So yeah, like I love Charmed so much.
Who do you think is Prudence's forever love? Because we see her and Ambrose kind of have this relationship. Who do you think Prudence bonds with, if anyone?
I think Ambrose would be the best fit.
I think she should go steal Harvey. It'd be they're so different.
So different. Yeah. I don't know if Prudence would like dig Harvey though, because like he's like in the best way, he's a simple guy. Yeah. Like, and I think that that he'd also have a problem with like Prudence's ways and like just how she thinks in this dark way. But I do think that like Prudence and Ambrose is a really good match because, you know, they both grew up without fathers. They both like are grappling with that same thing in a different way. Ambrose like understands of course respects the ways of the witch world and their traditions, and doesn't challenge them, but has a different approach to them, which I think something that Prudence can learn from. Yeah. And you know, her softening her own self. So
the dynamic duo, they're like, they're the greatest love story in the show.
Thank you.
Speaking of the love triangle of Sabrina, Nick, and Harvey, are you personally team Sabrina and Nick or team Sabrina and Harvey?
I feel like
Sabrina and Nick.
No. Oh. I actually think I'm like team Sabrina and Harvey because it's like, you know, he keeps her grounded. He keeps her like you know, a part of the mortal world and keeps this piece of light inside of her. While, you know, Nick, as sweet as he is, and as, like, you know, we'll find out later that he's had a different agenda, he's leading her down the dark path, the dark side. Yeah. Like, and I'm a light person.
And he's carried into the gates of hell at the end of
exactly. And he's, you know, gives up his own vessel to save Sabrina and trap the Dark Lord. Yeah.
It's wild. These teenagers go through so much on the show.
Right?
It's so crazy.
Well, I mean, you know, like all the witches, while we look like teenagers, we're like Ambrose is the eldest of us. He's like 90 years old. I feel like Prudence is in like her like 70s.
Yeah.
Gavin thinks that Nick is like in his like 50s.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got like life experience on us. We just haven't like aged yet.
Now, speaking of your castmates, we actually have a question from Chance.
Oh my god, okay.
Roll the tape.
Ask her about the samurai swords.
Okay.
And ask them about how easy or difficult they were to holster.
Thanks, Chance. So that was a day. They were really long. Originally, they ended up having to cut them because they didn't fit in the holsters that were made. And even after they cut them, I couldn't, like, properly, like, my arms weren't long enough to get them all the way out. So we had to do, like, stop and cut takes where, like, I'd start to pull them, and then we'd stop, and then they'd get them the rest of the way out, and then we'd keep going. But they were really fun. Like, I used to do martial arts, and I never worked with swords or anything, but I got a samurai sword from a tournament one time, and I always liked to play with it, so I was super excited that day that I was like, Prudence gets weapons, it's so badass, yes! In this leather jacket, I was so excited. Yeah. But it was super, like, I think due to my martial arts background, though, I know how to move, like, I did bow and sai before, and so it was fun.
Teach me
yes! Okay, so you're gonna, like, it's all in the wrists. Yeah. So, like, as you bring them down, you're gonna, like, twirl your wrists, and then, like, you're gonna go inward. Like, So, like, as they come out, and, like, outward, outward, and then back around, and down, and, like, out. Yeah, that's it!
Lastly, what else do you want to see in part 3?
How the like, you know, now that we have no Dark Lord, like, who do we, like, you know, where does our faith lie? And, like, like how does like, you know, the aunts take over the school and they're gonna build a new curriculum and everything, and I'd love to see how they change like our basically what's gonna be our entire witch world and what we know to be safe and true. So I can't wait to see them do that, as well as like, does Madame Satan, like, is she gonna go like rogue and like be the Dark Lord all over again, or is she gonna like align and like be like our savior, like our true savior and like our hero? Like,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think so either. She's so conniving. I'm like, oh, but I really want her to like be like on the good side, but still dark. Like, if that's possible.
No, that's a good way to
yeah. So.
Thank you so much for being here. This is a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Should we do the set?
Yes. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys.